Hey everyone, it's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com, and it is Wednesday, and that means Stampin Gals Gone Wild Wednesday. I have got a way fun project for you today. This is a sweet little box that's going to hold a roll of stamps. I don't know if you guys do the rolls of stamps, but they do tend to unroll and go all over the place. So I created just a fun little box that'll sit there on my desk in my office so that I have something pretty to hold my stamps in. So we're going to create this simple little box today. We're going to be using our Simply Scored board to create today's box. I have a piece of cardstock. I'm going to be using basic black, but whatever colors, obviously whatever colors are going to work with your office or your desk space, that's what you want to go with. This piece of cardstock is cut 5.5 by 5.5. And I'm going to put it into my Simply Scored, and I am going to score it at 2 inches on all 4 sides. So 2 inches all the way around. All right, for my lid, you're going to pick your lid color. I chose Coastal Cabana because it goes with my new stamp space. And this piece is cut 3 inches by 3 inches. Now, I'm ready to score this. I wanted to show you here. You can see that my lid, of course, is shorter than my box because it's what's kind of holding my box closed, if you will. You can see I've got that slit there, and that's what holds my stamps. But one thing you need to know about boxes, when you create them, if I were to score this exactly the same way I scored my box, the two are not going to want to go together. They're the same size, so they don't like each other very much. So what we want to do is score this lid just a hair less. Now, a while back I created a thing called a Box Maker Shim. You can find the video on how to make your own shim there on YouTube. Just do a search Box Maker Shim. My video should be the first one to pop up. I think it's going to say Simply Simple Box Maker Shim. So you'll be able to find out how to create that. And it's a very simple thing to make. And once you have it, you'll have it always. But when it comes to making the lid, I'm going to take this little shim. You can see it just clips here on the side of my Simply Scored board. And what this does, it bumps out my cardstock just that little hair so that box and lid can be happily ever after. So when you put your cardstock in the Simply Scored with that shim, make sure you're not going underneath the shim. So gently butt it up against that shim. Now this one, we're going to score this at 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to score 3/4 of an inch all the way around. Again, making sure I'm not going underneath that shim each time I score. All right, so that is the scoring that we need to do. I'm going to move this out of the way and let's get to cutting. Okay, so we're ready to do the cutting, and I'm just going to cut. You can see we have these squares here on the end. You're just going to cut along up to the next score line on all 4 sides. All right. Now what I like to do when it comes to boxes, I like to miter. And what I'm doing is I'm cutting from the inside of that square to the outside. This just gets a little bit of bulk out of there and helps my my lid here to kind of just come together without, oh, how do I say this? Just kind of sticking out the sides. We don't like that. That's not very pretty. So we're going to do a little mitering. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here to this basic black, but we're going to cut a little bit different. So follow me. We're going to cut along one. You're going to rotate. Basically, I'm cutting every line that's to the left, okay? And we're just going to, and then rotate and cut again and rotate. All right, so it's almost very, I don't know, pinwheely looking, right? Okay, so you can see we've done that. Now, one of these squares, these big squares, we need to cut it off completely. So I'm going to just cut off this one. Doesn't matter which one, so we're going to get rid of that. Save that. We're actually going to use that little piece. So now, remember how I did the mitering on here? We're going to do that same thing with these squares. So just like we did, cutting from the inside to the outside on all 4 of those squares. Okay, so you can see I've mitered each of those squares all the way around, and we're now ready to put our box together. But I wanted to show you one thing. When I go to put this together, you can see, ooh, we have way too much there, right? So we just need to trim that down. I'm just going to cut it in half. Keep in mind, this is not going to show, so you don't need to, measure or get crazy. So we're just going to cut those little flaps that were mitered, remember that's the only thing we're cutting, these little rectangles, you shouldn't be doing any cutting on that whatsoever. So you can see I've come in with a bone folder, and I've given all of my score lines a really nice harsh crease with the bone folder. One thing with boxes, in order to really look like a box, they really need to be creased very, very well. So make sure you get everything creased. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm actually just going to use snail. Typically when it comes to boxes, I don't like to use snail. I need something a little bit stronger. But the way this particular box is constructed, it's just not necessary because that lid's going to be helping to hold everything together. So you can see I've got snail on those little flaps. We're going to bring them together here on the side, just making sure you're lining this up on the side perfectly like that. You don't want anything hanging over. And let me get my last one right here. And of course we've got that cut right here, and that's where my stamps will stick out. So there is the box portion. Now, okay, so we're ready to create the lid, and what we're going to be doing here, you can see I've come in and I've bone folded just as I did on my box, just bone folded all of my crease lines down. You can see I've put sticky strip here on the tab, and what I wanted to show you, it's right along that score line. This is how it's going to go together. So we want to remove all of our red tape. Oh, that stuff likes to stick like glue, doesn't it? All right, so again, lining it up. This is why I said I miter the edges. It makes my edges really nice and clean, and I just don't get that bulk on there. Well, you know what? This tape's just going to stick to me. It's just going to be one of those days. All right, well, we'll just get this all put together, and we're going to do a little pretty trim on it. Of course, this is the part where you get to be creative too. Do what you want to decorate up your lid. So there's our lid. Let's go ahead and bring in our box and make sure everything is happy. Perfect. Wonderful. I've got it all ready to go. So I want to decorate this up a little bit. Okay, so to trim the lid out, I have got a piece of our silver foil paper. I love this. It's shiny. It adds bling, and you know I love bling. I have this piece cut at about 7 inches by 3/8 of an inch. Really, it was just a piece of scrap, so don't feel like you have to be perfect on that measurement, but you do need about 7 inches of it. I'm going to come in with my lid, and I like to take one little scallop. I'll use this little half one down here. And we're going to give that a fold. And we're just going to put that here on one end. Now, you notice I don't have any adhesive on this yet because I do need to kind of fold everything. So as I come around, I can just give that a fold. I'm going to lay this down. It might be a little bit easier. Give this one a fold. Give this one a fold. And you can see I do have a little hanging off there, and we're just going to trim that. I'm not going to do it just yet because I want to go ahead and get my adhesive on there. But that's going to give me the shape. Now, one thing I do need to tell you about this when it comes to, ooh, I think I missed my fold. When you are adhering this down, before you do, you want to make sure that you're starting on the same area that you started with when you were folding. It's kind of crazy about boxes. You have to kind of be exact. I don't know if you can see this, but see, I don't have the lid in the same way as when I folded the box. It's all based on how, you know, how it was put together, where you cut, things like that. So I do want to kind of keep my lid right where it should be. I hope that makes sense. Basically, once you know exactly how that's going to go on, leave it there. So I know my little tab's going to go right there, and that way I don't have to worry about this getting out of place. I'm going to add some snail to the back of my little silver here. Okay, we're ready to adhere this together. Now, I know that this is where my end's going to go, and I don't want any of the Coastal Cabana to show, so I'm going to line it up just along that scallop. I don't know if you can see that there. I'm just kind of holding it up so I can see that I'm just on the edges of that scallop. We're going to go all the way around. Again, just holding it up. And when we get to the end, then I'm going to be ready to trim. So I'm going to give that a really good press in there. Come in with my paper snips. And we'll just give that a little trim. Now we have such a pretty little lid. All right, well, let's do just a little more decorating. I used the Regarding Dahlias stamp set. I loved the high. So I have stamped that on just a little piece of scrap of Whisper White. I've got my 1 1/4 inch circle punch. We're going to give that a punch. I stamped that in StazOn Black, by the way. Remember that little piece of black that we cut off of our box? We used that. And with the 3/8 of an inch circle punch, I cut myself a little dot. And we can just adhere that here in the middle. I've got a couple Stampin Dimensionals here on the back. And we can just adhere this. Now, before I adhere it down, you can see there's the end of my box. I actually want that to the back. I don't want that to show. So I'm going to adhere my high right there. I did want to do one more little thing, add a little something to it. It was kind of dull. I took a piece of scrap Glimmer paper. Again, I love the bling. I'm going to punch out 3 flowers with the itty bitty punch pack. You guys know I use this flower all the time. If you don't own that punch pack, you really need it. And now we're just going to decorate this up. I'm going to come in with some mini glue dots. I just find it's a little bit quicker and easier to use mini glue dots than to try to get snail on the back of that little teeny tiny thing. I've got a couple already done. And I think you can see there I've also added a little rhinestone in the center. This one I'm just going to attach to the box. And on this last one, we'll put it right there. And then I came in with my rhinestones, and I used these small ones here. I like to use my paper piercer to pick them up. It's a little bit easier. And I'm just going to add that little rhinestone right there in the center. Now let me come in with my roll of stamps, kind of tighten it up, make sure it's going to fit in there. We can put it right down into that slit. I've got my lid. Lid and box fit so happy together, nice and tight, but not too tight that the box buckles. And I have got a really nice piece of decor for my desk. What do you think? Well, I hope you guys like that project today. I sure have fun creating that one. Thanks so much, you guys, for being a part of Stampin' Gals Gone Wild. Josee and I appreciate you so very much and your support and tuning in every Wednesday for our Stampin' Gals Gone Wild Wednesday. Now, you know, Josee and I do have more videos for you. We have a set of exclusive videos for you. Every single month we have a special hostess code for all of our wild stampers, and you all can get that by placing an order and using that hostess code. We're going to say thank you by sending you some really special videos each and every month that are exclusive just to you. So be sure to tune in. You can find each of us. You can find Josee at stampingjoe.com. If you're in Canada, you're going to order from her. She is your girl. If you're in the United States, I'm your girl. You can find me at simplysimplestamping.com. Well, again, thanks so much for tuning into the video today. I hope that is one that gives you some inspiration and gets you a little decor on your desk, and it's useful as well. So have a terrific day, everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.